Have you ever felt like you're running on empty, pushing harder and harder, yet somehow still falling short? What if I told you there's a spiritual key hidden in the pages of Scripture, 4 simple words that Jesus spoke 2,000 years ago that could completely transform the way you experience peace, purpose, and even breakthrough in your life? Most people read right past this phrase. They see it, nod in agreement, maybe even underline it in their Bible, but they never truly grasp the supernatural technology embedded within it. These aren't just comforting words meant to make you feel better for a moment. This is a divine code, a spiritual frequency that has the power to recalibrate everything happening beneath the surface of your daily existence. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Now, think about your own life for a moment. Has this ever happened to you? You wake up with a mental checklist already running through your mind. You tackle task after task, solve problem after problem, and yet somehow by the end of the day, you feel more drained than accomplished. You're doing everything right on paper, but internally, something feels off. There's this constant hum of anxiety, this subtle pressure that never quite goes away, even when you're trying to rest. Here's what most spiritual teachings won't tell you. Striving harder isn't the answer. In fact, the harder you push, the more resistance you create to the very things you're desperately seeking. Peace, clarity, abundance, breakthrough. They don't come from more effort. They come from alignment with a divine principle that Jesus demonstrated perfectly in one of the most overlooked passages in the Gospel of Matthew. Picture this. Jesus had just spent days moving through the villages of Galilee, healing the sick, teaching multitudes, carrying the weight of human suffering on his shoulders. The crowds were relentless, the demands endless, the expectations crushing. And then, in a moment of profound transition, he turned to those who were weary, burdened, and exhausted by life itself, and he spoke a truth so simple it sounds almost too easy. But stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might completely shift how you approach every challenge, every worry, every overwhelming situation you're facing right now. These 4 words aren't a suggestion. They're not motivational advice or positive thinking. They're a declaration of a spiritual law already in motion, a frequency you can tap into right now, not tomorrow, not after you've earned it, but in this very moment. And the fascinating part? Most people never activate it because they're too busy trying to make things happen through sheer willpower and mental force. So what are these 4 words, and why did Jesus choose them specifically? More importantly, how do you actually... So what are these 4 words, and why did Jesus choose them specifically? More importantly, how do you actually access this hidden truth that's been sitting in Scripture this entire time? The answer lies in understanding what rest truly means. Because here's where most people get it completely wrong. When Jesus said, "I give you rest," the word "he," used in the original Greek, wasn't talking about taking a nap or going on vacation. The word is anapo, and it carries a meaning so profound that it changes everything. This isn't about physical rest. It's about a deep, internal cessation of striving, a complete renewal that touches every layer of your existence, your mind, your body, your spirit. It's the kind of restoration that realigns your entire inner world with the unseen forces of creation itself. Think of it as a spiritual frequency, a divine code that operates beneath the surface of your conscious awareness. When you tap into this, you're not just feeling better temporarily. You're actually shifting the energetic foundation from which you make decisions, take action, and experience life. This is the transformation that most personal development and mindset work can't reach, because it's not about reprogramming your thoughts. It's about accessing a state that was already given to you. Now, I want to go even deeper into this. Because understanding the mechanism behind why this works is absolutely crucial. There are two opposing forces constantly at play in human experience. The first is the pull of striving, that relentless drive to control outcomes, secure your future, analyze every possible scenario, and make things happen through sheer force of will. The second is the pull of surrender, trust, alignment, flowing with the divine current rather than swimming against it. Here's the hidden revelation that changes everything. When you're caught in constant striving mode, when you're pushing, forcing, planning every detail, micromanaging every step, you're actually creating resistance to the very things you want most. Your mind might be saying all the right affirmations. You might be visualizing your goals, doing all the techniques, but if your internal state is one of tension and control, you're essentially blocking your own breakthrough. You become the obstacle between where you are and where you're trying to go. If this resonates with you, hit subscribe. I'm here creating content that uncovers the hidden truths most people miss, and I'd love to have you on this journey. There's a passage in Isaiah that speaks directly to this dynamic, and it's one of the most powerful confirmations of what Jesus would later teach. It says, "In returning and rest you shall be saved. In quietness and in trust shall be your strength." Notice the pattern here. It's not through more effort, more strategy, more hustle. It's in the returning to rest, in the quiet trust, that your real strength emerges. That's where the impact happens. That's where the journey shifts from exhausting to effortless. This isn't just ancient wisdom. This is a practical spiritual technology that works whether you fully understand it or not. The moment you recognize that you've been operating from the wrong energy, from push instead of flow, something inside begins to shift. And that shift is the beginning of everything, changing behind the scenes of your life. If this is resonating with you right now, type in the comments, "I'm ready for this shift." So here's where this becomes incredibly practical, and honestly, this is the part that most spiritual teachings completely miss. You don't have to earn this rest. You don't have to achieve a certain level of faith, complete a series of spiritual exercises, or prove yourself worthy before you can access it. This is the revelation that changes the entire game. Rest isn't something you manufacture through effort or willpower. It's a gift that's already been given to you. When Jesus said, "I give you rest," he wasn't making a promise for the future. He wasn't saying, "One day if you do everything right, you'll finally feel peace." He was making a declaration in real time, a direct transmission of alignment with the unseen. This is a spiritual law, not a suggestion. Your inner world is designed to respond to it immediately. The moment you recognize what's actually happening, the rest you've been searching for, striving for, trying to create through better circumstances or perfect conditions, it's already yours. It's been waiting for you to simply receive it. But here's the practical application, the actual mechanism that activates this in your daily experience. There's a specific way to engage with these four words that transforms them from mere information into lived reality. You're going to whisper something to yourself, but not as a prayer, not as a request, not as something you're hoping will happen someday. This is a shift, a decisive internal movement from one state to another. Say this quietly, either under your breath or just in your mind. "I have received rest." Notice the tense, not "I'm asking for rest," not "I hope to find rest." You've already received it. Let those words settle in your chest, in your shoulders, in the space behind your thoughts where tension lives that you didn't even realize you were carrying. Every time you speak this phrase, you're essentially hitting a reset button on your entire internal operating system. What's happening in that moment is profound. You're sending a signal to your mind, your body, and the unseen forces that govern your experience that you are no longer in struggle mode. You're aligned, You're no longer pushing against reality, trying to force outcomes. You're stepping into what's already been prepared for you. This isn't about positive thinking or trying to convince yourself of something that isn't true. This is recognizing a truth that exists whether you acknowledge it or not, and then positioning yourself to receive its full impact. The beauty of this practice is in its simplicity. You don't need perfect circumstances. You don't need to wait until your life calms down or your problems disappear. You can whisper these words in traffic, in a difficult meeting, in the middle of a sleepless night when your mind won't stop racing. Each time you do, you're making a decision to operate from a different frequency, a different energetic foundation. You're choosing alignment over resistance, trust over control, divine flow over human force. And here's what most people don't realize. The transformation doesn't happen because you're trying harder. It happens because you've stopped trying to make it happen and started receiving what's already in motion behind the scenes of your visible reality. If you're feeling this shift happening right now, even just a little, write in the comments, "I have received rest." Now, there's something critically important I need to tell you about how to use this practice, because this is where most people unknowingly sabotage themselves. When you whisper, "I have received rest," you must resist the temptation to attach it to a specific problem. Don't tie it to your financial stress, your relationship struggles, your career uncertainty, or that chronic anxiety that keeps you up at night. The moment you start explaining to yourself why you need this rest, the moment you begin justifying it or linking it to a particular outcome, you create resistance. Here's what happens behind the scenes when you do that. Your analytical mind immediately jumps into the driver's seat. It starts questioning, doubting, micromanaging the entire process. It says, "But what about this problem? How is rest going to fix that? This doesn't make logical sense." And in that instant, you've blocked the very thing that was already flowing toward you. The genius of these 4 words is precisely that they bypass all that mental negotiation. They don't ask for permission from your logical mind. They don't need your understanding or approval to work. They operate invisibly, silently, in dimensions your conscious thinking can't access or control. So keep your reasons hidden. Don't explain, don't justify. Just whisper the words and let them do what they were designed to do. This is about trust, about allowing a divine mechanism to function without interference from your need to understand every detail of how it works. The transformation happens in the unseen spaces, in the gaps between your thoughts, in the quiet recalibration of your entire energetic system. But here's where this becomes incredibly practical in your daily life. After you've whispered those words and allowed that internal shift to occur, life doesn't pause. Responsibilities don't disappear. You still have that phone call to make, that email to send, that difficult conversation to navigate, that decision to face. And this is where the real magic reveals itself, where the impact of this practice becomes undeniable. Whatever your next action is, do it from rest, not from urgency, not from that familiar pressure that says, "I have to fix this right now." Not from the anxious energy you've been carrying for so long, you've forgotten what it feels like to operate without it. When you act from that pushed, pressured state, from that frantic need to control the outcome, you're actually sending a signal into the universe that creates resistance. Doors stay closed. People respond the same predictable ways. Opportunities remain just out of reach. But when you take that exact same action, making that same call, sending that same message, having that same conversation, from a place of rest, calm, and internal alignment, everything shifts. To an outside observer, the work looks identical. You're doing the same thing, but the frequency behind the movement, the energy you're carrying as you move through your day, is completely different. And that frequency is what the universe responds to. That's what opens doors, attracts opportunities, and causes things to flow effortlessly rather than requiring constant force. This is the hidden truth most mindset work never addresses. It's not just about what you do, it's about the internal state from which you do it. Same journey, different energy, same decisions, different foundation. And that difference changes absolutely everything. Write in the comments if this is making sense to you. Same action, different energy. Now let's be realistic about what happens next, because I want to prepare you for the actual reality of walking this out. Life isn't going to pause just because you've discovered this practice. Stress is going to creep back in. Old patterns are going to try to reassert themselves. That familiar tension, that tightness in your chest, that I need to fix this. Immediately, energy, it's going to rise up again. And when it does, that's not failure. That's actually the moment where the real transformation deepens. Every single time you feel that pull back into striving, into control, into pressure mode, you have a choice. Pause right there. Don't fight the tension. Don't judge yourself for feeling it. Just whisper again, I have received rest. Not as a desperate plea, not as if you've lost something and need to get it back, but as a simple reminder of what's already yours. This is the practice. This is how you rewire decades of conditioning, how you create new neural pathways that choose peace over panic, trust over control. Think of it like training a muscle. Your nervous system has been running on anxiety and urgency for years, maybe your entire life. Every time you pause in that moment of rising tension and return to these words, you're not just calming yourself down temporarily, you're actually strengthening a completely different pathway, building a new default operating system. You're signaling to the unseen forces, to the divine intelligence that governs your life, that you are no longer flowing from striving and struggle. You're flowing from the given gift, from what's already been declared over you. This is where the journey becomes deeply personal, where the revelation moves from concept to lived experience. Each return to rest is a decision, a micro-transformation that accumulates over time into something undeniable. Behind the scenes, beneath your conscious awareness, your entire internal landscape is shifting. Your body learns to operate from a different baseline. Your mind discovers it doesn't have to solve everything immediately. Your spirit reconnects with the truth that you're not alone in this, that there's a divine current carrying you even when you can't see it. If this connected with you, hit that like button. It helps this message reach people who need to hear it right now. And here's what I need you to understand. Those moments when your mind spirals, when it starts asking, why isn't this working yet? Or what am I doing wrong? Or when is this going to change? Those are the most crucial moments. That's when you stop everything, pause the spiral, and repeat the only 4 words Jesus gave specifically for moments like these. I have received rest. Not someday, not if I do everything perfectly, not after I figure it all out. Right now, in this moment, it's already been spoken over you. This is the moment your inner world can finally exhale, can finally release the grip it's been holding on everything, trying to manage and control and force outcomes. This is where alignment happens, where you stop swimming against the current and start flowing with it. The impact of this single shift ripples through every area of your life in ways you can't predict or manufacture. If you're recognizing yourself in this journey right now, type, I'm learning to exhale. You know, if you've made it this far, you're exactly the kind of person this message was meant to reach. Most people scroll past, looking for quick fixes or instant solutions, but you stayed, you listened, you allowed these words to settle. And that tells me something important about where you are on your journey right now. If this content has resonated with you, if something inside shifted even just a little bit while you were watching, I'd love for you to subscribe to this channel. I create videos like this because I believe there are hidden truths scattered throughout Scripture. practical spiritual technologies that most people never discover. And if that's the kind of content that speaks to you, you're going to want to be here for what's coming next. Before you go, leave a comment and let me know you were here. Just type, "This message was meant for me." I read every single comment, and honestly, it's encouraging to know these insights are landing with people who are genuinely seeking transformation, not just information. And if you found value in this, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps more people discover this content, people who might be exactly where you were before you clicked on this video, searching for something real, something that actually works. There's a video right here that goes even deeper into how to align your inner world with the divine flow we've been talking about. It's a perfect companion to what you just learned. Click on it and continue this journey with me over there. I think you're going to find it incredibly timely for where you are right now. I'll see you in the next one.